swag of a prize fighter. The antithesis of a firefighter. Arsonist, I'm a fire rider. Instant flame like a firelighter. So special with shows, I live out my flows. Can't walk in my shoes, can't purchase my clothes. Ice in my veins, but I never froze. Picture perfect, but I never pose. As a juvenile, I knew I bounced back. Got rated, had a plan to get my ounce back. Use cheese as bait, that's a mousetrap. Let me to the right person to pounce at. They selling dreams, I'm pulling receipts. Full force, we can't be beat. Got a dirty mouth, but the flow so neat. Keep your 2 cents, talk is cheap.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is Mike Tyson being sued for $5 million, accused of raping a woman in New York in 1990. So we're going to take a look at an article from People, and then we're going to discuss this in greater detail after we go through the article. So here's the article, and you can you can see the title: Mike Tyson sued for $5 million, accused of raping woman in NY, New York in 1990. An anonymous woman has sued the former professional boxer and accused him of rape in a New York court. This article was written by Ingrid Vasquez, and it was published on January 25th. All right, so let's take a look. And this article's in People magazine. Mike Tyson is facing rape allegations from a woman who claims she met the former professional boxer during a night out at a New York dance club in the early 90s. In an affidavit by an anonymous woman in New York's Albany County Court on January 5th, she states, "I met Mike Tyson in the early 1990s at a dance club called September's. My friend and I were hanging out with him and his limousine driver. Tyson told us about a party and he asked us to join him. My friend was going to drop off her car and Tyson said he would pick her up in the limousine. According to the affidavit, the woman then got into Tyson's vehicle and was allegedly touched by the professional boxer. I told him no several times and asked him to stop, but he continued to attack me. He then pulled my pants off and violently raped me." Her statement continues. The court documents added that the woman is seeking $5 million in damages that include physical, psychological, and emotional injury. The lawsuit was filed under New York's Adult Survivors Act, which Governor Kathy Hochul, Governor Kathy signed into law last year under the regulations. And it's, quote, "A year look-back window is given to survivors of sexual assault that occurred when they were over the age of 18 to sue their abusers regardless of when the abuse occurred." A representative for Tyson, 56, did not immediately respond to People's request for comment. Tyson made a name for himself in boxing after holding the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship from 1987 to 1990. His first win at 20 made him the youngest player to retain the title. That should say fighter, but I'm leaving it alone. You don't play boxing. While still recognized as one of the greatest in his sport, his personal life has been riddled with controversy, including accusations from his first wife, Robin Givens, that he was physically abusive. He candidly admitted that the claims were valid, telling Oprah on her show in 2009, "I have socked her before, and she socked me before as well. It was just that kind of relationship." Other points of legal trouble for Tyson include a 1992 rape conviction, which he served 3 years in prison, biting off a piece of Evander Holyfield's ear during a 1997 rematch, a prison stint in 1999 for assaulting 2 motorists, and again briefly in 2007 for possession of cocaine and driving under the influence. And I'll read this out here for anyone who needs some encouragement. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, please contact the National Sexual Assault Hotline, and that number is 1-800-656-HOPE, which is 4673. Again, that number is 1-800-656-HOPE, 4673. So when I say hope, don't press the numbers 4673 instead of hope. You understand? All right. Or go to this website, RAINN.org, which is rain.org. All right. So Trill dollar bill. That's the article. You heard the story. You know what's happening. What's your reaction to all that?
These are serious claims, serious accusations, and they're not to be played with. You know, for each side. If but I'm. This is what I've learned. You know, willing to watch it play through. You know, play out. Excuse me. Um, it's horrible to hear. You know, it's just it's just really, you know, it's really it's I just hope that, you know, it's handled right, and it's just really horrible. It's just really horrible to hear. Like I want to be like, oh, I hope it's not true. You know what I'm saying? I hope it's not true. I hope this is just one of those things where, you know, it happens, you know, to these fighters before, like, you know, Rolly was accused and stuff like that. Maybe this is another one of those, or but you know, if it's not, then you know, let it. You know, because out of you don't play with this. You know, this is horrible. With rape, and I'm glad that they made this law. You know, with the time and stuff like that, because when you rape somebody, it's a little different than murder, because you just don't kill them and leave them dead. You kill them and leave them breathing for the rest of their lives. Uh, hopefully, this thing gets handled, and that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I think rape is a very sensitive topic because even in law school, I'll give you an example. We went over rape in law school, and you can just see the room divided. And you're talking about people who are going to represent, people who are going to go on to become attorneys, and you can just see people have different standards and different threshold of what they think constitute rape. So there's obviously the easy standard, which is force rape. Like you force yourself on someone, everyone understands that. But date rape sometimes can get a little dicey, and certain people, and you'll be surprised at people's opinions. Like I would always be shocked that sometimes some of the harshest critics in the room were women, and I would be sitting there like, I think that's rape, and they'd be like, it's not rape, blah, blah. And I'd be like, hey, you got your opinion. What I would say is I can't pass judgment because I don't have all the evidence, I don't have the facts. I wonder what type of evidence would still exist today, 33 years later. I don't necessarily know what type of evidence would be there, what type of evidence would survive, what witnesses are available. Um, the limousine driver apparently would be a important witness in this case. But what I will say is this law was passed for a reason. Um, and this unnamed woman is taking advantage of her opportunity to deal with something that's bothered her for 33 years. And Mike Tyson is going to have to deal with another lawsuit. Trill touched on something that I think is another important thing to keep in mind is athletes are easy targets sometimes. In these situations, especially fighters, because the world already sees them as angry, vicious, and aggressive. We saw a similar situation with Rolly Romero. Devontae Tank Davis just had his incident, and I'm not saying who's telling the truth or who's not telling the truth, because again, the only way to really dive into this is to look at the evidence and see if the evidence meets the elements of the crime, right? But this is a civil suit, so they're looking at preponderance of the evidence. Is it more likely than not that this situation happened? But even with that, you still got to see the evidence, and you still got to know, and it's gonna be, to me, one of those things where you have to watch it play out before you can make a decision. Most recently, I remember the Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez case, and if you went on Twitter, everybody was at one point. Tory Lanez was winning, and he was about to get off, and then the next minute, people were saying, "Oh, anyone who supports Tory Lanez hates women." And I mean, I'm telling you, you go to Twitter and you look at Twitter for like real things that are happening, even with the situation that's happening in Memphis. And sometimes I just look at what people write and I'm like, man, you're just screaming for like attention. Like there's no way you even believe what you're saying. But yeah, 1 minute it was, and I never think it's like, at least with the Tory Lanez situation, it's like, fellas, some fellas are too happy to excuse this man for the situation, and some women are too gun ho about wanting to see this man and not actually listen to the evidence and in the facts, and it's just kind of like people pick their sides and they want to go at it. I look at it from this perspective, and this is what Trill said. It's unfortunate that someone had to live with something that happened in 1990 to the point that it's still on their heart in 2023. And this isn't for me to say that Mike Tyson is guilty of anything. It could have been a consensual encounter that she regrets, and in her mind is questioning whether or not it was what she wanted. Maybe Mike didn't get consent the way we advocate for consent in 2023. And so she questions whether or not she even gave it. Right? Perhaps Mike was operating on the assumption that she gave consent. And this is what I'm talking about. Like when you're in a room full of 50, 100 people, and 50 of them see it this way, 50 see it that way. The thing is, when you're a celebrity and you have these encounters, and Mike you look at his stories and you listen to Mike's interviews are out there. I never dreamed I lived so long. I never dreamed I fornicate with as many beautiful women as I have. I'd speak to you like a scumbag, because even if I was eloquent, you still look at me like I was a scumbag. So I mean, these are all Mike's interviews. I used to watch them in college. We used to watch Mike's interviews and laugh. Mike went in. Like Mike went in. There's one interview. Nah, bro.
Bro. Mike don't hold back.
Yeah, I might even pull it up. Mike was like, I usually don't do interviews with women unless I
have food to eat with them. Yeah.
So you shouldn't talk anymore unless you wanna, Hold on, let me say.
Yeah, no, seriously, I don't that way. It was a reporter was asking, they was questioning him during before a fight or something like that. It was everybody was asking him questions.
Are you talking out of turn again?
Nah, yeah, man. It's just it's horrible, man. Like it really is. It's horrible.
Yeah,
I believe it. But I believe that, you're innocent, you know what I'm saying, to proven guilty. I do believe that. But also, I do believe that is one of
I'm gonna play this real quick, bro. And we'll dive into that again. I'll give you the floor immediately after. All right, so here it is right here.
Years old, going on 36. Never dreamed of living this long. I never dreamed of fornicating with as many beautiful women as I did, and having as much money as I did. I won't talk nice to you and talk about fornicating with you and letting you suck my dick, because if I was eloquent with you, you would still look at me as a scumbag. I may like fornicating more than other people. It's just who I am. I sacrificed so much of my life trying to at least get laid, You know what I mean? I've been robbed of most of my money. Can I at least get a blowjob? I wish one of your guys had children so I could kick them in their fucking head or stomp on their testicles so you could feel my pain, because that's the pain I have, waking up every day.
Put it later in you that you can win this fight.
Are you talking out of turn?
No, I think we're all talking together.
I normally don't do interviews with women unless I fornicate with them. So you shouldn't talk anymore. Unless you want to.
All right, bro. Back to you.
I have nothing to say after that.
The sad reality is, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, I used to watch that. Me and G, we used to watch that and be like dying.
Yeah.
What's funny is we're watching a man in pain in front of us.
Really
so I just want to highlight a few things. Like, that's who Mike Tyson was. That's not who Mike Tyson is currently. The beauty of Mike Tyson and who he is currently is Mike Tyson is someone who's at peace, someone who has found a core and a support system. And that's a very important change in someone, because I'm telling you, man, everyone isn't their biggest mistakes. Everyone isn't what they've done in the past. Like, sometimes, like, when you come from just chaos, and if you know Mike Tyson's story, and if you don't know Mike Tyson's story, like, he comes from absolute chaos. Like, when he says, I never dreamed I would live this long. I never dreamed. Like, he's not joking. Like, he thought he would die young. When you understand someone in their 30s saying, I never dreamed I'd live this long. You understand?
No, it's real. That's real.
In his 30s saying, I never dreamed I'd live this long. Is you thought you were going to die young. And if you read, like, a lot of my poetry that I wrote when I was younger, a lot of it centered on me dying young. I never thought that I would be the age I am. I never thought I'd be a lawyer. That's what I'm telling you. So it really is a lot. And so I say all that to say, who Mike Tyson was in 1990, he's not today. And looking at the Mike Tyson you know today isn't the Mike Tyson that she encountered in 1990. And I'm not saying that Mike Tyson did anything wrong. And I'm not saying that he didn't, because I wasn't there. What I'm saying to you is, when you look at the man who made those interviews, right? And you listen to him speak in those interviews, there's a lot of women who may be triggered or feel a certain way, or, may have had encounters with him in the past, and see that, and it inspires them. Even if their motives are negative, even if they're just trying to get a buck, they're like, with interviews like that, look at the timetable, maybe we give it a shot. And I'm not saying that's what she's doing. But again, people have done that in the past. I told you about the Brian Banks case. I told you about the Duke lacrosse team. We've seen other incidents of this. So rape is very sensitive. It's one of those topics that can split a room. But what I think we all will agree on is, if you are guilty of it, you deserve, because like Trill said, it's murdering someone, but they're still alive. Victims of rape are never the same as they were before that incident. So, if you did do it, then you deserve punishment to the full extent of the law. 5 million isn't enough if it's true. It's just, I'm not the person to decide whether or not it's true. You're not the person to decide whether or not it's true. That's up for the judge and the jury, or whatever route they go. But this is unfortunate. Thankfully Mike has moved on and he's in a better place, and he's going to need a lot of support with this. Maybe perhaps they settle. I don't know. Which is another option. Perhaps they settle. And another thing, just because people settle doesn't mean that they're guilty either. Sometimes people settle because it's just going to cost too much to go through the courts and do all this stuff. So I hate these topics, but it's something that's happened, so we had to discuss it. My hope is that both of them find peace and they're able to live a happy life moving forward.
Please let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. You know who we are. We are the Boxing Bros.
Are you talking out of turn again?
Yeah. I think we was all talking together. I usually don't do it. It's not for the kids.
No,
So
and when he added the unless you wanna, I'm like, you just assaulted this woman in front of the whole
world. Everybody. And none of the guys said anything.
I know. None of them dudes said a word, bro.
Dude was like, I ain't gonna say nothing. He might try to fuck me. I ain't
everybody.